We are live from Fengudrong-Bangé in Douala, the economic capital of the country. This is Prime News. My name is Gienda Peldrin Blanche. King security forces in Bonanjo, Douala have presented 6 bandits to the public. These men are accused of multiple crimes in the littoral region or Douala in particular. The arrest of one member led to the arrest of the entire gang. Investigations that led to their arrest were opened after their last operation in Lokbesu, Douala. Details with Audrey Zatsa in the following report.
Tali Ephraim, Chez Joachim, Kamoufor Daniel, Nde Ignatius, Yivala Fomunang sont les 5 présumés malfrats présentés ce 9 décembre 2020 au grand public par le groupement mobile d'intervention de Bonanjo Littoral. Leur arrestation survient à la suite d'une plainte déposée le 18 novembre 2020. La victime, revenant d'un anniversaire le 15 novembre 2020 et au moment d'entrer chez elle, avait été agressée et violée par ces malfrats.
Je sortais d'un anniversaire de ma grande sœur et je suis arrivée dans mon quartier à 14h05. Le temps de garer, il y avait déjà 3 personnes qui m'attendaient avec des armes. Ils ont passé ma voiture. J'ai essayé de démarrer. Ils m'ont arrêté parce qu'avec la peur et tout, j'ai eu emballé. C'est pas là où ils m'ont arrêté, ils m'ont trimballé, ils m'ont déshabillé, ils m'ont menacé avec une arme à feu. Puis tu as dit, bon, si tu penses que tu es plus maligne, on va te violer. C'est en ce moment que j'ai supplié le plus possible. J'ai supplié, ils ne m'ont pas écouté, ils m'ont amené au champ. Ils m'ont frappé avec la machette sur la plante des pieds plusieurs fois. Et l'autre a tourné la machette, il m'a donné sur la tête une hémorragie. J'ai eu une hémorragie à l'instant. Et c'est en ce moment que le plus grand a commencé à me violer avec la machette sur le dos et me dit de ne pas crier. Si je crie, ils vont me tuer. Et l'autre avait aussi une autre matière.
Leur mode opératoire, se planquer dans des broussailles près des domiciles de leurs cibles et attaquer au moment opportun. L'arrestation de l'un des suspects permettra ainsi à celle du groupe entier. Fusils de chasse, armes à feu, bijoux, ordinateurs portables, téléphones portables, imprimantes, des véhicules et une moto, c'est le butin saisi en la possession de ces malfrats. D'après le commandant John-Louis Richard, la réussite de cette opération n'aurait été possible sans le renseignement de la population.
La réussite de cette opération est la résultante des renseignements que nous avons reçus auprès de la population, auprès des citoyens de bonne foi. Certes, il y a l'expertise policière, mais également des renseignements que la population nous donne. Nous ne sommes pas des démiurges, nous n'avons pas de difficultés. Ces bandits vivent avec les populations et la population connaît ces bandits.
Le commissaire appelle ainsi à la vigilance de tous, surtout en cette période de festivités, de collaborer avec les forces de l'ordre pour mettre fin à ce phénomène de grand banditisme dans le pays.
On the occasion of the 72nd edition of the International Human Rights Day, Network of Human Rights Defenders in Central Africa is organizing a 2-day activity starting today on COVID-19, hate speech, and tribalism in Cameroon. Let's now get highlights of day 1.
72 years later, it is more than ever the moment to stop, to evaluate the road traveled, and especially to consider the most relevant perspective for a more effective protection of human rights, especially in these tormented times where COVID-19 has favored the democratization of hatred toward certain communities and has weakened our democracies by favoring the blossoming of hate speeches, leading at the same time to a withdrawal of identity and tribalism between peoples. Pleased to welcome you within its wall for a series of exchanges, making the celebration of International Human Rights Day, whose theme this year is Rebuilding Better, a very topical theme when we think of the societal fabric torn apart by socio-political and security crises and conflicts. The theme of this luncheon debate is COVID-19, online hate speech, and identity-based withdrawal. What solution? It will therefore be a distinguished invitation to share your multifaceted experiences with the aim of reducing, or to be its simplest expression, the proliferation of hate speech online in this period marked by the gloomy pandemic. This will certainly lead to a drastic drop in online vulnerability through the spread of false news and false news. It will also be a question for us to question the perception of each other in order to determine the barometer of the identity withdrawal between citizens of our dear and beautiful country, Cameroon. Dear guests, I have no doubt that your shared skills and experiences will lead to relevant recommendations that will be addressed to public authorities, churches, experts of all kinds for an effective and beneficial implementation for all. On this note, I will...
What's coming out is fire. For those who can see, fire, right? That's the power of words. Another picture, you see this man talking. It is not his hand beating this person, but his mouth, from his mouth, we have a hand figure. So sometimes people tell you that I did not hurt this person because I just said it. So they don't want to compare being beaten by the words, by our speeches. But they are the same thing, because they cause the same pain and they cause the same issues to our fellow humans. There are so many other instances, so many other illustrations and pictures, but today I want to base more on what brought us, those of us from Northwest, Southwest, what took us to this level where we are right now, because I'm certain that most of you are already informed. Remember our honorable ministers. I want to give you examples of the words from our own ministers, from our own leaders. Minister Issa Bakari said, Anglophones are an Eastern minority. Minister Jacques Famino said, what can you do? Anglophones are just like 2 cubes of sugar in a bucket of water. Minister of Justice said, when the consortium will crumble, the lawyers, those students constitute the consortium, will run to the...
After spending close to 3 months indoors, the leader of CRM political party, Professor Maurice Kamto, has finally been freed. He was accused of inciting demonstrations on September 22, 2020, with the aim of ousting the democratically elected government. Since the night of September 21, his residence in Yaoundé was heavily militarized and placed under watch. A tape canter in the French language.
C'est une libération d'emprise après 3 mois de confinement forcé. Le dispositif sécuritaire déployé au fleuron du domicile de l'opposant Maurice Kamto a été dégagé. Les ambitions du leader du mouvement pour la renaissance du Cameroun restent inchangées. Il entend poursuivre son combat.
Mais évidemment, je vais continuer à animer plus que jamais mon parti politique, le MRC, le mouvement pour la renaissance du Cameroun. On a voulu le décapiter, on l'a peut-être décapité en partie en envoyant nombre de ses cadres en prison, mais nous restons là et ils sont encore nombreux, ceux qui sont libres. On va travailler parce que notre option demeure la même, M. Zou. Le changement dans la paix et par les urnes. Et ça se travaille. Ce que les gens ne comprennent pas, c'est que c'est eux qui prennent les raccourcis. Nous travaillons auprès de la population. Je peux vous assurer, M. Guizot, que s'ils n'avaient pas la préfectorale avec eux, s'ils n'avaient pas la gendarmerie et la police avec eux, jamais le RDPC, je dis bien, je prononce le nom de ce parti, jamais Le RDPC le ferait même 20.
Cette libération intervient au terme de 78 jours de résidence surveillée par le régime en place. Le professeur Maurice Kanto était accusé d'avoir organisé une marche le 22 septembre 2020 réclamant le départ du président Paul Biya du pouvoir. En rappel, ce n'est pas la première fois que l'opposant Kanto est privé de sa liberté et libéré après. En janvier 2019, il était emprisonné pour les faits de présomption de destruction des biens publics, d'insurrection, de terrorisme, de rébellion et d'hostilité à la patrie. Le 5 octobre 2019, il avait été libéré ainsi que ses co-accusés suite à des pressions internationales multiformes qui ont poussé le président Paul Biya de suspendre les poursuites judiciaires. Pour l'instant, la liberté est revenue. Même les voisins de l'opposant à Yaoundé retourneront dans leurs domiciles respectifs car c'est fini la peur.
Southwest region will have a total of 90 regional councillors at the National House of Assembly. The results were proclaimed today at the Boya Court of Appeal. The elections of regional councillors is expected to fast-track the decentralization process and special status granted to the Southwest and Northwest region of the country. Crise reports.
Following the pioneer elections for regional councillors that held across the national territory on December 6, 2020, these are top administrative brats and traditional rulers of the Southwest region who have gathered at the Boya Court of Appeal for the proclamation of results. Read by the chairperson of the Supervisory Commission for the election, Lord Justice Van Helen, it was revealed that the CPDM was the lone political party that ran for elections in the Southwest region. The CPDM secured a total of 90 regional seats, out of which 70 seats is for regional councillors and 20 for traditional rulers. Despite being the first regional elections to hold in Cameroon, many have expressed satisfaction with the results as it is a sign of willingness by the Southwest population to accompany the president in the decentralization process.
The proper resources for effective managing of these elections. It did not rely on the fact that it was just one political party or one list of traditional rulers taking part in the elections. All democratic tenets were respected, transparency, ensuring that the protocol of COVID was respected.
And the results that have been proclaimed today are a reflection of the desire of the people of the Southwest to accompany the head of state in the pursuit of peace and the consolidation of national unity.
Through the elected traditional rulers, rural developmental projects are expected to experience a boost.
The economic standard of the region, which is poor, the road networks. I think that in principle the crisis we are facing, everybody wants to see what will come out from this regional house that have been put in place.
While some skeptics are adamant to the new wind of change expected to blow across the restive English-speaking regions plagued with the ongoing Anglophone crisis, others hold that by putting party politics aside and prioritizing the population's interests, much could be achieved.
They have a history in this country where people are blinded because of party loyalty. People are blinded to the sufferings of the people to satisfy the whims and caprices of a particular party. So if we are in a situation where they will rise above their partisan and pettiness and small-minded approach to politics and look at the people at large, then something might come out of this.
Meanwhile, all eyes are fixed to see if the 90 councillors voted to represent the Southwest population at the Regional House of Assembly will match actions to words.
Thanks, Clarice Okoe, for the updates on the 9th regional councillors at the Regional House of Assembly. Away from that, St. Sylvester's Night will celebrate its 20th edition on the 31st of December 2020. This night celebration at Fini Hotel Limbe will mark the transition from 2020 to 2021, as Kumon Rainbow tells us in the following report.
The population of Cameroon and Limbe in particular has been called upon to take a rendezvous with Fini Hotel on the 31st of December 2020 and the 1st of January 2021 to celebrate the St. Sylvester's Night, known in French as La Nuit des Océans. The call was made by the management of Pini Hotel during a press briefing that took place beside the swimming pool of the hotel. Speaking to the press corps, the marketing and sales manager, Madame Atangana Marie Catherine, disclosed to the population that this year's event will be special and different from the previous events, especially as La Nuit des Océans will clock 20 years. She reiterated that La Nuit des Océans will keep burning the flames of love, hope, peace and unity despite the socio-political crisis and the coronavirus pandemic. Madame Atangana Marie Catherine reassured the over 200 guests expected to be part of the 2 days event of adequate security and COVID-19 measures to be reinforced to ensure their safety and security.
We have implemented measures to fight against the spread of this virus. We have different points where you can have your hand washed, and also on that day we'll have masks for all the guests. Also, while installing the guests, will of course respect the distancing measures.
On his part, the Public Relations and Communication Officer, Mr. Ongene Sej, briefed the press on a rundown of the activities for the 20th edition of La Nuit des Océans. He added that La Nuit des Océans has been identified as one of the events that promotes culture, tourism, and entertainment in Fako Division and Limbe in particular, just like other cultural festivals. This year's event will be a replica of all the cultures of Cameroon, with cultural manifestations from the Northwest and Southwest regions top on the agenda. The 20th edition of La Nuit des Océans will equally have as guest artists Mathématique de Petit Pays and Askia, very young, talented, and energetic artists who can entertain their audience for a longer period.
After over a month of mourning, insecurity and calls for ghost town in Kumba, chief town of Kmer division, Kumba has once more gone into a festive mood as the city council has organized a football tournament involving teams from various quarters in Kumba. According to the city mayor, Gregory Mewane, the aim of this tournament is to promote peace, love, and unity within the people. SDO for Mebe, Chundong Chamberlain, was equally present yesterday during the launch of the tournament. Time for Sidwan Dimbia in the following report.
Kumba in the festive mode as the City Council football tournament is launched under the theme Promote Peace, Unity, Trust and Love. On Tuesday, 8 December 2020, the direction was Government Bilingual Practicing School, Kumba Town, where football lovers and the loving population gathered again to light the candle for a rebirth of the Green City. This was through the launching of the football tournament, which involves the male, the female and the transporters associations in the city of Kumba. Addressing the population, the city mayor Gregory Miwano announced that the intention of the football festival is to promote peace, love and unity.
To promote peace, unity, trust and love. Let us come together to take not only Kumba ahead, but the main division as a whole.
He also stated that the Kumba population needs to be in a festive mode since football remains a unifying factor.
We want the people in Kumba, of course, to celebrate football, to celebrate sports. We know Cameroon is a sports-loving nation. It has been what has always, been there to unite Cameroon.
The first match was played between the Future Dreams Football Club and the Gunners FC of Kumba, where the Gunners FC suffered after receiving a 3-1 spanking from the Future Dream Academy. The Meme SJ Ntondong Chamberlain also announced that at the end of the tournament, he will support the best team with a motorcycle. He equally used the opportunity to preach peace to the Kumba population.
When he succeeded to bring them together, he removed some of them from the bushes.
During and after the competition, the population, trees and all other living things are expected to celebrate peace, unity and love. Football commentators say the gods of football will surely resurrect for the beautiful games to animate the Green City.
Cameroon joins the international community today to celebrate or commemorate the International Anti-Corruption Day. This is a call to end all forms of corruption across the globe. Eileen Sama reports.
United Against Corruption is the theme of the 2020 International Anti-Corruption Day, observed by countries globally this December 9, as it has been observed that the social ill is an inevitable issue in recent times, with no region, community or country immune to it. Observed annually, the day seeks to create awareness on the disadvantages of corruption and maintenance of transparency in all world countries. This year's theme, United Against Corruption, it is worth noting, focuses on corruption as one of the biggest obstacles to achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Note should be taken here that the United Nations General Assembly adopted the United Nations Convention Against Corruption on October 31, 2003 and designated December 9 as World Anti-Corruption Day. Awareness about corruption and the role played by the convention in battling and preventing the cankerworm from spreading. In Cameroon, some activities were carved to mark the day, including visits to some schools in Yaoundé to preach against corruption under a campaign dubbed Integrity Tour, headed by the President of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, CONAC, Reverend Dr. Dieudonné Massigams, who has been battling to stamp out the ill in the country alongside close collaborators since the creation of the body in March 11, 2006 by the President of the Republic. It is worth stating that according to the 2019 Corruption Perceptions Index, CPI, reported by Transparency International, a German non-governmental organization founded in 1993, aimed at combating global corruption with civil society anti-corruption measures, Cameroon is the 153 least corrupt country out of 180 nations, while the most corrupt African countries are those currently battling with political, social, and economic stability. These include Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Chad, Republic of Congo, Angola, Burundi, Libya, Sudan, South Sudan, and Somalia.
Nora Kakebi has striking stories in Africa. It's time for African updates.
Egypt and France have signed various declarations of intent yesterday, Tuesday, December 8th, in the field of transport and economic cooperation. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt, together with the French Prime Minister Jean Castex, held a meeting which was followed by signing of various agreements between both countries. The pact will therefore see both nations benefit from joint cooperation in other fields such as education, security, trade and investment. It is worth noting that the French President Macron had earlier said France will also not condition the sale of arms to Egypt. President Sisi, who is now on his third day of visit to France, has faced a backlash from Egyptian rights activists, and these activists accuse France of having long indulged President Sisi's brutal repression of any form of dissent, and they said it was now or never for Macron to stand up for human rights. Still on the African continent, police were deployed in the Democratic Republic of Congo's parliament on Tuesday, December 8th, on the second day of clashes sparked by a crisis between Tshisekedi and supporters of his predecessor, Joseph Kabila. At least 3 people were hurt as rival groups, including lawmakers, brought and hauled objects before police could restore order. The violence between the two sides started after Tshisekedi said on Sunday that he planned to form a new coalition in order to push through reforms. Tensions have sparked international alarm, reviving memories of the Democratic Republic of Congo's long record of volatility. The African Union has called on the country's leaders to work resolutely and sincerely for national harmony in order to preserve peace and stability. Meanwhile, in Ethiopia, the government has admitted to firing on a UN team who were visiting refugees in the conflict-hit Tigray region. According to government spokesman, he said the UN team is to blame for this unfortunate incident because they ignored instructions and drove through government's checkpoints hastily to areas where they were not supposed to go. Just when they were about to break the third checkpoint, they got shot and detained. The spokesman said the country isn't no man's land and that it has a government, he added. UN spokesman Stefan Dujarric said there were 4 people on the UN team assessing roads in the area for aid deliveries.
Thanks, Nora Kakebi, for ending today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. The news was produced by Ewan Elaine Olinga, coordinated by Lasha Kinsley. My name is Genda Pelgian Blanche King. Join us tomorrow, God willing, at 6:30 for another edition of the news on My Media Prime. Stay tuned at 7 p.m. Cameroon time. Prime Hour will be live with Kum Lunad and his team of analysts. Happy viewing and good night.